Good morning and happy Thanksgiving to all my North American friends, and happy Thursday to everybody else who might not be doing Thanksgiving. Coffee Talk. We did not have a Coffee Talk last week because I was still suffering ill effects from the marathon. I'm pretty sure all of those gone away, except for that still have a bit of a tick going on. So yes, I did the 3 tank marathon and I finished all 3 of them on day 15th. On day 15th, on day 15, which happened to be the 15th actually. On this Coffee Talk, we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to go over the missions and specials, and boy, there's some interesting stuff in that as far as the specials go. I think you know what I mean. We'll talk about that. I'm going to go over my grind. I'll give you some numbers, talk about some things I learned while I did that. Bit of a science project for me, so I really enjoyed that actually. We'll see how that went. I'll give you some numbers and throw it out there. I'll let you know how much money I made per hour doing that. And the third item is going to be the latest wargaming chicanery, dealing with the missions, and you're probably aware of it. We'll go over that and talk about their customer service response, which as usual is... All right, let's get started. All right, first things first, we'll go over the missions and then the specials. Very quickly, there she is, the IS-6B, the black colored IS-6. Over here we have the black colored T-34, and I already had the Schwarzpanzer. I ended up getting the credits for that, but we'll talk about that when I get to my grind section for the marathon and talk about the numbers on that. So let's dive into the missions, let you know what's going on here. Over on the events tab, we have a T-62A on track, and that's it. Have at it for the T-62A. One thing about the on tracks that I don't talk about a whole bunch is at the end of it, you can get a little premium tank. If you're grinding through that line anyway, you might as well go all the way through, get that little premium tank and hold on to it. You can get a garage slot as well if you want to sell it, but I hold on to it because if you win another one later on, depending on which type of win you do, tankrewards.com is the big one. You'll get the gold value for it. So I recommend holding on to all of those little premiums that you get, even if you don't play them, because that's just gold later on down the road. So it's a little thing to throw out for you. Over to the missions section, you'll see that we have the tankrewards.com mission still going on. It is getting near the end, so we're on the 23rd. Now, a couple interesting things here. Number one, they failed me. I thought they were going to be 1 of 3, 2 of 3, but nope, 3 of 3 is on top. Why wouldn't it be? Those are all the missions. You can see I'm through most of those right there. But let me move this down to where you can see it, or maybe I need to move it up where you can see it. There you go. I am 41 of 50. Turns out that you can only get 49. If you do the math, this is awesome. All right, so there's 5 here, that's 5, 10. Let's do math in public. 5, 10, 15 for this one. Got to go up here. 20, 25. All right, you with me? I haven't finished this one yet, but 25 total for all these missions. And then it's the dailies added onto it. So we're going to add 25. We need 25 days, right? 25 days of dailies to get to 50. So this goes from the 3rd to the 27th. So there's 27 days in November. We're going to minus 2 days from that because the 1st and 2nd weren't included. So that gets me to 25, right? That's 50. 25 plus 25 is 50. Except that, as we all know, November 27th doesn't count because that's the day it switches over when the server resets and you don't have enough time to do it. Sometimes there's a half hour, sometimes there's not a whole lot of time at all. So there's only 49 available. Also, cancer time. Come on, guys. This is a 20 win requirement. So every time you get 20 wins, you trip one of these. I am not going to get through all 5 of those. The good news is I've done enough of the dailies and the rest of these that I am going to trip the top prize, which is 45, and I'll show you that on the website here in just a moment. So that's nice with their missions. They do allow you to miss a few days along the way or a few missions, and I am going to on purpose because I just do not want to grind another math in public alert. 71 more. Yeah, no, this will trip it. 40 plus 11, 51 more wins. So if you assume 50%, which I think every player should when you're doing a mission like this, because of the small sample size, even if you're a 60% winner, it's pretty easy just to go 50% in the number of battles that these kind of missions take. So just double the requirement. That's another 100 odd battles just to get this silly win requirement down. That's just, we'll talk about that when I get to the marathon, about how bad that is for the game. And those are the missions we dive down here, more tank mastery stuff, and that's pretty standard. So I told you I'd show it to you on the website. Let's go over there and check that out. Here is the website. If you don't know what it is, it's tankrewards.com. I've seen a couple forum posts lately that of people who didn't realize this existed, and they went there, signed in, and they actually got some prizes. In general, most of the latest ones have a drop dead date where if you don't do it or click on something over here, usually there's a house for the Halloween or whatever it is, do your selections by date X, you lose it. But I also saw somebody who had never been to the site, went there, signed in, and got a bunch of gold for tanks they were owed a while ago, basically premiums they owned, but they won somehow on tankrewards.com and they got the gold. So there may be some of the older missions floating around out there that don't have a drop dead date. I highly recommend, if you've never gone here, tankrewards.com, sign in, dig around it a little bit and see if you don't have some good things come your way. If you've been playing this month, then you definitely do, because the tank rewards stuff is up. So if you look at it, level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I goofed this up a little bit 2 weeks ago. I corrected myself later on, but you only select one of these things. So if you trip that level, then you select one of these things. I'm going for the boxes, because if you look at it, I've been clicking around a whole really fast right there. If you look at it, there's lots of little things you can potentially win. Interesting, this gets into that loot box discussion, which is going on in the gaming world right now, the whole gambling and loot box thing. I don't think that really applies right here, because none of this stuff is necessarily pay to win or stuff you must have in order to be competitive. This is all just nice little things. And it's while it is a bit of a game of chance with it, who really cares? It's all just consumables and stuff like that. If you want to just take the no kidding, I'm getting a barracks, or sorry, a garage slot, select it. That's cool. So like I said, 45, there it is, level 5, 45. Now the cool thing, another cool thing that they have here is if you trip the certain spots up to gift 545, and you can see each trip point is 5, or is the same as it is right here. So 5, 15, 25, 40, 45. You have a gift that you're going to be able to give someone. I'm not certain how this is going to work. I assume it's going to be an interface on their website, on this website, whenever we are finished on the 27th or 29th or whenever it is they bring it up. It usually takes a couple days. I hope it's pretty easy. We'll see. Wargaming doesn't have a great track record with this stuff, but I do appreciate that. So you can send people garage slots or boosters. These are credit boosters. That's fantastic. Actually, it's 3 50% credit boosters and 300% XP boosters, consumables, all that stuff. So right on, man. Thanks, Wargaming. That's cool. I like that idea. That's a really great idea right there. Let's move on to the specials, because this is fantastic. Got the Fruity Cup today, guys. Fruity Cup. Happy Thanksgiving. All right. So let's start. I'm sure you guys have seen this. If you haven't, check it out. All right. So this is the ultimate bundle, the feast. Once per account. All right, guys, because it is $909.99. 50% off. $1,800 of premiums. Look at that list. $909. What a strange number. $909.99, not $899.99. They just wanted to get that extra $9.99 out of that baby. So I went, wow. At first I was really irritated by that. And then I remembered that, yeah, whatever. If they want to sell $10,000 bundles, I don't really care. More power to them if people want to buy it, so long as they're not selling overpowered tanks. There's an argument to be made that there are a few of those in here, but it's not exactly pay to win. I don't know who the whale is who's coming to this game so late that they're going to want a $909.99 package on a game that's as long in the tooth as this one is. But we're not going to find out, but I would be really spectacularly interested in how many of these things they sell. So I started looking at it. Never mind the whole cost thing, and I'm over it. Whatever, they want to sell it, I don't really care. Never mind the cost thing. Let's just take a look at the standard wargaming implementation on their website. Because while all these things that I highlight are small things, they keep adding up, and it just makes me laugh every time. So I started looking at this list, and I went, okay, so we got this list here. All right, so we got tier eights, and then no, it's not by tier. Okay, so we got Russian, German, Chinese, German, Chinese, British. Okay, then well, that's not really how they're listed. Maybe they're by types. We got a heavy, we got a medium, and then no, that's not by. It's alphabetical. It's alphabetical. It's not even alphabetical by like smaller number. It's like the one. The one got this guy first. Then the 4, and then the 8. Oh, wait a minute. It's not alphabetical. Wait a minute. What? It's AMX, A, B, C. I don't even know. Okay, that makes sense, but then 8.8. Maybe it's the comma that got, no, the 8 is after the 4, but a 5, but that's a 59. I don't know, dude. I don't know what. It seems to be alphabetical as we get down here. Come on, guys. Could you not have arranged it by nation or by tier or by tank type? It's just a big glob of blah. We're selling all this crap. Everything must go. Take it. It's like the bargain bin. Hey, if you want the whole bargain bin, we've thrown every tank in there. If you want the whole bargain bin, make me an offer, but it starts at $909.99. Come on down to Guido's Tank Emporium and buy all these crappy crappy premiums. I don't need these things anymore. Oh man, it's fantastic. All right, so we go back here. There are some other bundles for Black Friday, which starts November 23rd, which is today. So it's not Friday, but whatever. You get what I mean. You got a special bundle war chest, super war chest, 15,000 gold, 20,000 credits, 30% off for $180. Now, that is a good deal compared to their other war chests. There's extra stuff in there for less money. I want to say their regular war chest is usually on sale for $99. It's regular $140. Has quite a bit less. I want to say 5,000 less gold and maybe 10 million less credits. But as I have said in the past, do not buy credits with your credit card, for goodness sake. Get all the gold you want, buy all the premiums you want, for goodness sake. Do not buy their credits. That's insane. Earn them in the game. You're playing the game anyway. Why would you pay for 20 million credits? You can earn the credits by playing the game, which is the point of buying the gold, so you could play the game. Nuts. But I won't get mad because, as I said with the earlier bundle of madness, hey, if you got the money and you want to spend it, be my guest. Not that you needed my permission anyway, but I give it to you. My permission. All right, so we've got other bundles. We got a 112. I'm not going to go through all this, but there's two versions of it. One of them has extra stuff in it, and then you click on the other, and usually you're getting that times 5 XP thing with each one of these that you buy. Realize they have expiration dates. So if I buy my AMX CDC and I got my times 5 XP with it, I have to go down to this note and very carefully read that it will expire on 1 May 2018. Why? Is that just to clear stuff off the server, or I don't. That's chintzy. Why on earth would it expire? Who cares? Why would you care if it expired or not? There may be a technical reason. Maybe it garbages up the server, or they want to clear stuff off. I don't know. Sometimes you make stuff die at a certain time just to help your server out or whatever, but weird. Still though, you should be able to get through times 5 XP for the first 30 wins in 5 months or whatever it is. All right, 6 months I guess, counting December. And that is it for the specials and missions. A couple of interesting things right there. Let's move on to my grind experience. Well, there she is, the IS-6B, like I showed you a little earlier. Happy Thanksgiving. IS-6B. So I ran the marathon. I did all 3 of the tanks for the Thanksgiving marathon, and I finished them all on day 15. That will come up again when we get to the chicanery part. I'm just going to talk about right now my experience doing that, because I said this on my stream quite a few times, that this was quite a bit of a science experiment for me. I'm looking at getting into this business, in this industry, not necessarily being a streamer, but how it works more in the background, production kind of thing. being a producer and all that kind of deal, developer. So I was interested in how it worked. I was curious about the time sync. I'd read plenty of articles. I understood. I'd seen the numbers. I know what it takes as far as reading about it to be a YouTuber or a streamer. But I was curious in about a 2-week sprint to see, at least get a small taste of it. I wanted to see what it did to family life, what it did to the person who was playing it and doing it, all those kind of things. So here's some numbers that I got from this. As far as my record went, I went 260 and 203. This is a gameplay issue, obviously. 58.69% on that, which is about 0.01% away from my total. It took me 62 hours to get those 3 tanks. 62 hours. And while most people are loath to discuss money, I'll go ahead and do that anyway. I added up all of the various little things that I made here. Now, I started making a little money on my YouTube channel. That wasn't necessarily related to the marathon. I'd finally got up to the point where I could monetize videos, which I talked about a few weeks ago, which you're not going to make a lot of money on that unless you're huge. That's one thing I've learned there, part of the science experiment. I do have a couple subscribers on Twitch now, and I think that's largely due to me streaming as much as I did, which I need to get back into. I took a bit of a break because I was burned out, but I got guys and gals subscribed, so you kind of owe them on Twitch. I mean, that's the product that they're paying to see, and if you're not there giving the product, then why would they subscribe and continue to pay? There was a donation or two, which I've got those donation buttons. I tend to try not to talk about that kind of thing as a general rule, but we're discussing just the basics here of the numbers and how it went down. So I added that all up, and it came up to $178.21. You divide that by the number of hours that I played, and I essentially made $2.87 an hour on what was, over 15 days and 60 hours, an additional kind of part-time job. So I worked my full-time job, and I worked a part-time job. Full disclosure, I had a couple days off that were scheduled, and I took a little bit of leave myself as well. If I was doing the true math, I would minus the money from the leave. It's paid leave, but I spent that leave playing the game. So on the one hand, it's something I would do anyway because I enjoy myself, but I would not have burned that leave without the marathon to do. Now, it wasn't a lot of hours, but it was a little bit here and there. Just because a couple of the missions required me to grind out quite a bit on one day. And that was one of the limitations of this marathon, is because they were daily missions, you had to knock them out. It's not like you could do a little bit of it and catch it up the next day. You could catch up days because you only needed 15 out of 20 to get the tank, but they got harder and harder, so there were some things that were limiting right there. So those are the basic numbers. I thought that was kind of interesting. And when you start talking about the guys who are making a lot of money at Twitch, YouTube, and such, or both, they're making more than that an hour, but they've got to have the massive followership, and that's where then the advertising stuff starts to come in. Interestingly, on the advertising thing, as a small side note with YouTube, I found out that quite a few of my videos initially get tagged with unsuitable for most advertisers, and I'm not exactly sure why, whether it's because it's tanks or World of Tanks. There might be a filter in there. I don't think I swear too much on them. I may on occasion. I'm not using anybody's copyright stuff, not anymore. Talk about that in just a second, actually. So it's interesting that they get tagged like that, but usually after a few days it goes away. So there's some kind of filter that goes in, and YouTube looks at that. So discussing the copyright thing, I actually used a bit of a song on one of my Twitch streams, and Twitch will blank it out if it's copyrighted. And I actually sent it over to YouTube. It was a Saxon song called Crusader, because kind of a funny thing happened. At least I thought it was funny anyway. And I was playing the Crusader song. It all actually ended up being live. And I took that piece of that video and put it on YouTube, and they nailed me with the whole copyright thing, and I had to take it down. So there you go. All right, what else did I learn? The time sync was incredible. Like I said, another part-time job. If you're doing it full-time, you're talking about Twitch streamers, YouTubers who are doing this 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, playing games, talking, doing whatever it is that they do. It's actually kind of fascinating. What that does to the family then is, I've got soccer to take kids to, pick them up, do all the things that the kids are doing, help with science fair, all that mess that you have when you've got teenagers in the house and they're going to school. So it is a bit of a strain family-wise while you're doing this, and I would definitely say that the wife was not really digging it. She supported me and let me do it. I don't want to say let me do it, but understood what I was trying to do and trying to get at. So that was okay. But the thing is, there was an end horizon, right? There was an end out there that she could see. She could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and she knew that I would stop doing it as much at that point. It would be interesting at that point to see how bad it got if I kept on trucking. And I suppose I would be irritated if she did something that much when she was home as well. All right. So then the stream was interesting. I tried to be as chill as possible and not get too crazy with getting mad, but I was really tested. And like some tests I've taken in life, I failed on occasion. And there were several times when I wasn't happy with my spurging, typically against bad teams, artillery, the standard stuff that you get all angry about. In general, I'm able to keep that tamped down when I'm doing a stream. But when I was doing it so much, just sitting there going on, you kind of tend to forget that people are watching. And if you have a small group like I have, I end up getting to know them. And so we're just kind of chatting and chat. And that's when a little bit of the spurging comes out. And there were some Artie Rage festivities during that stream. One of the guys said, this is great. And I think it really checked me, really served to cage my gyros is, he types in, he says, yeah, this is supposed to be fun, right? And I went, man, you are so right. I am so deep into this marathon thing and getting angry at people who are costing me time, because what ended up happening is some of the missions, because there were so many to do, i.e. wins, and the requirements were so high, that I really needed to get as many battles per hour as possible to burn through those things. And it became a factor of, especially in the case of wins, which we'll get to in just a moment, where if I wasn't going to get a win, I needed to get out of that battle. And sometimes I would actually just drive out in the open and let the guys kill me. I'd go out shooting if I could. That is not something I recommend. It's not something I do a lot in this game. In fact, I rarely ever do it. But these missions kind of, I'm not going to say caused me, but they incentivized me to do that because I needed to move on and get going. So there are a few streams that I actually deleted based on spurging and things that I was not proud of. So that was actually interesting, because you're talking about a brand. As you're doing streaming, YouTube, all that kind of thing, you're building a brand. You're trying to market yourself as a certain kind of person. You got some people who are known as ragers, some people are known as being calm, some people really know the intricacies of the game, some people are just funny, and I can think of names for all those. You got Quickie Baby, Jingles, Sir Foch, Klaus are all people that I kind of think of. Those guys all have kind of different personalities and what they're coming at, but they've built those brands over time. And if you stray from that brand, for example, I'm trying to be kind of a calmer, chill, let's talk about the mechanics of the game and kind of have a good time without being silly. If you go in spurging and going crazy, then your brand suffers. And I'd imagine I probably lost a couple people along the way by doing some of those things. So it's a learning experience. I thought that was very interesting. From a gameplay perspective, then, I talked about the wins missions as being particularly egregious. What I have come to the conclusion on missions is there should almost never be a marathon mission that isn't experience-based. And here's why. If you make your missions experience-based, then you can just scale it from low experience to lots of experience, however you want to do it as wargaming. That's going to then increase the number of battles that someone needs to do. If you do experience, then that gets rid of the win criteria. The win criteria is pure cancer. Essentially what wargaming is saying when they say win 20 is they're telling you you've got to play 40 battles. You have to assume you're going to get a 50%, even if you're a good player. But even if you say you're a 60% very good player, you're still going to need close to 40 battles at 60%. Close enough as makes no difference. 36, whatever it is, that's pretty darn close to 40 battles. So they are just telling you, hey dude, you got to grind twice as many battles as we just told you need wins on. Now if you have a streak and go 18-2, then fantastic. You got real close and maybe you went 22-6. But does that happen all the time? No, because on small sample sizes like that, even very good players can have kind of an off day, and that is painful. What they do also is they require you to be in top 10 XP, because if you give a win requirement and no requirement for XP, then people can bot through it. You can play 100 battles and get a 20% win rate and still get your 20 wins. So they want to stop that, and good on them, but that's even more cancerous, because now I can get a win, actually give my level best, be number 11 on the XP, and I don't get the thing tripped. And that absolutely drives you crazy. So what they've done is they've made a mission set that is nothing but frustration. They have made a mission set that decreases the fun of their game, and that's horrible. So make it XP. XP period across the board. Why? Because if you lose, you get a little bit of movement. At least you know you moved a little bit. Even if it's I need 500,000 XP, which is a lot, at least if I have XP, that if I lose, I move a little bit. There's a bit of a sense of accomplishment, and the frustration level goes down greatly. Also, winning matters with XP, because if I win, I'm going to clearly try to win, because I can go ahead and get more XP, right? You win, you get more XP. You do better, you get more XP. Even if I'm on the losing side and I get it's not crucial contribution, I can't remember what it is. Whatever that award is where you get like you won XP, you get XP like you won, then that's even better, man. That's great. Fine, I lost, but I did my best. I got good XP out of it. I'm moving along on my mission. The issue there is botting. That's still an issue. That's very true. I suppose I would support maybe a top 10 XP thing, but not really. And, you know, at the end of the day, if somebody wants to bot that much, who cares? I mean, really, wargaming, who cares? So that's what I came down to on gameplay, because some of those things caused me to do things a bit oddly. They had one mission that was damage X number of tanks, damage 50 tanks. I actually did that in 8 games for 2 of the tanks, because that mission applied to 2 of the marathons. In 8 games with artillery. So I played artillery, and I averaged 7 to 8 guys hit a game in 8 games. And that basically got me, I want to say I got up to 57 and one to 59, because on both of them, when I got to the 7th game, I was at 48 and 49 respectively, and I needed a couple more, and of course I went over on the next match. I mean, it just incentivizes weird gameplay. Making your mission requirements XP just incentivizes good gameplay, because XP is what you use to measure how people do well in the game, in your game, for wargaming. All right, so that is a bit of the grind, some of the things that I learned along the way. I thought that was kind of interesting, and I would share it with you guys. Now let's move on. Let's move on to wargaming's latest chicanery, because it is related to the marathon. All right, guys, grab your coffee. Let's talk about wargaming's latest buffoonery, because this is just, I was going to say unbelievable, but it's not, right? How many times have I recorded this same kind of silliness from these guys and their customer service? Now, I do give them props when they get stuff right, and I do appreciate guys who are trying, they're swimming hard, but as a culture, as an overall company culture, they just fail constantly. So check this out. Most of you probably know what I'm going to talk about right here. In the marathon, you had 20 days. You had to do 15 of them to get the tank. So people looked at it, and a lot of the easier missions, or the easiest missions, were all front-loaded. So if you went straight through, in theory, when you get to day 15, you've done the easiest missions. There were a couple on day 16 to 20 that were actually kind of easy. And a lot of it has to do with wargaming's actual misunderstanding of how their game is played and what's possible in their game. A lot of times I think they just throw stuff out to see what sticks and hope it's good. But there were a couple days from day 16 to 20 that actually were kind of easy based on the missions that they set up. At first I thought, well, maybe they're throwing people a bone. A couple of them after day 15 were very difficult. A couple of them were kind of easy, and they seemed to be on the weekend. I went, all right, great. Wargaming did something cool here. They front-loaded the fairly easy ones to day 15, but if you missed a few due to life, or you just didn't get there, all that kind of thing, then when you get to the later stage, there's a couple days where you can actually catch up, and it's not really that ridiculous. It's not really that ridiculous. Let me say one more thing before I go on. I do understand that from wargaming's perspective, when they did this marathon, the marathon was for people to pick one tank and get it. It wasn't for mega grinders like me to go out and get all 3 tanks. They made it possible, which I do appreciate. So it was allowed, but it wasn't really what the marathon was designed for. And fair enough. That's all good. It should be hard enough just to get 1 tank. If you're really silly like me and want to do all 3 just as a challenge, then they said go for it. Okay, good enough. So we get to how the missions are designed, and we go through these. So starting on day 1, we look at it and we go, okay, it was be in the top 10 XP earners on your team, win 1 battle. That goes back to that discussion I had about wins. Fair enough. Pretty easy, right? So it kind of goes like that. We go to the second day, and that one was top 10 damage dealers and do 5,000 damage. Just as a side note, the Schwartz Panza was purely damage, and it increased each day. So there was nothing really weird about that. It was just purely doing damage, and the amount of damage you needed increased. Interesting that that was different, while the T-34 and IS-6B were the same. Okay, it's the same but different. These two were the same. The Schwartz Panzer was different than the other two, I think is what I'm trying to say right here. So day 3, day 4, we go on down here. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because this was kind of the start of the spidey senses starting to rise right here. There were a lot of people who dug into these, and there were a couple charts on the forum where people listed out what you had to do. Because over 20 days and needing 15 days, people are naturally going to plan on how they want to knock out this marathon. People who are going to plan like me to do all 3 are going to get very serious about looking at what the requirements are. You're going to look at days you can't go. You're going to look at days that you think you can get them all done. You might look at a couple and say, you know, I can't get that one done that day. I'm going to actually do it on day 19. Foreshadowing, day 19. So I said that day 8 was kind of the start of the issue, okay, or an example. Let me put it this way, an example of the issue. When we got to day 8, people looked at it and started playing it, and once they started really paying attention, they went, and this actually was brought up before day 8, but when people get there is really when the rest of us kind of start really paying attention. They clicked on it and they went, all right, so the 34B is be one of the top 7 damage dealers on the team and play at least 4 battles. Well, that's pretty easy, because even a loss counts there, right? That's what it says. That's what it says, and it turns out that's what it was. But then you get to the IS-6B and it says win at least 4 battles. So there's an example of up to day 8, we've had 7 days. The 34B and IS-6B have been exactly the same, and then we get to this day and they have this weird little difference. Weird little difference. Was it a typo? Was it meant that way? There was no real information from Wargaming. They didn't say anything about it, and people went through it because at the end of the day, winning 4 was okay. But something is rotten in Denmark, isn't it? Somebody has their signals crossed, or they just had decided to make this weird little blurb on one day where the two were slightly different. Okay, so fast forward, we get through all these things, and people are getting towards the end of the marathon. And as we get towards the end of the marathon, around day 19, there are people who had skipped earlier days that were harder, because when they looked at day 19, they went, you know what, day 19 is actually pretty easy. On day 19, if you look at it, these are the conditions. Now remember, until day 19 and the mission shows up in the client, this is all the information we have to go on. This is their official webpage where they tell us what they're doing and they let us know how the missions go. If you look at it, it says T-34B, be one of the top 10 XP earners on your team in 30 separate battles. No requirement, no win requirement. Now, to be fair, all of the ones before this one that had this kind of verbiage in it said win. Okay, win 30 battles and be in the top 10 XP. Let me see if I can find one for you. There you go. Be one of the top 10 XP earners on your team, win at least 25 battles. Be one of the top 10 XP earners on your team in 30 separate battles. See how that's split out? Win in 30 separate battles. That seemed pretty easy. Well, it's going to be probably 30 to 35 battles. I don't think even I am always in the top 10. So I probably would need 32, 35 battles to get this knocked out. But people looked at it and went, all right, that's doable. Whereas this 25 battle win thing is probably going to cost me 50 battles to knock that bad boy out. On the weekend, on day 19, November 19th, they threw me a bone. And I am going to be able to knock this out in 30 battles, maybe 35. Thanks, Wargaming, fantastic. I've planned on knocking out my marathon towards the very end. That'll be my glove save day. And if it really goes pear-shaped, then I'll do this kill 5 last day, which is doable, not that hard. Kill 5 in one battle. But these last 2 days, thanks, Wargaming, fantastic. Well, turns out when day 19 showed up and people started fighting battles, they started looking at it and go, well, I was in the top 10 and I didn't trip in losses. And pretty quickly they came to realize you needed to win. You needed to win. And that's when the crap storm started. And the reaction from Wargaming is what's fascinating. Let's get to that. All right, there are multiple threads on this in the forums. This is the one I followed the closest because it seemed to have the most discussion. In fact, Cabbage Mechanic came into this thread and started talking about what was going on, to his credit or her credit. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. So what we have then is the wrong information on the website, and when the game day started on day 19th, then the client said you had to have a win. And anger ensued. Pitchforks, torches, the whole 9 yards. So here is the official word, as far as I can tell, for the moment, from Cabbage Mechanic. It says, after quite a lot of internal discussion and labor, we have arrived at the following. All right, I'm going to get to that because this was so easy to fix. Tankers who played at least 30 eligible battles on day 19 of the marathons and finished the normal run of the T34B or IS-6B marathons with either 9 or 14 tokens will receive an additional token. I'll get to why that's important in a moment. In addition, the 5 token package will be made available again for a period of time. An eligible battle is defined here as someone who played 30 more battles in French, UK, US vehicles, tier 4 or higher for the T34B token, and someone who played 30 battles for the Chinese, Czech, Polish, and USSR vehicles, tier 4 or higher for the IS-6B token. This means that if you did not earn a tank because you finished a token short due to the day 19 issue, you will now receive it. In addition, if you did not purchase tokens due to finishing one short of 10 because of the day 19 issue, you will have another opportunity to purchase them and receive the vehicle. Exact dates of this plan are still TBD, and as we are currently working with the related teams who make this technically possible. Keep an eye here and on the news portal for further information as we have it. Well, there are multiple holes in that one. All right. First, the 9 or 14 thing. The 9 is to get you to 10 because the additional tokens you could buy came in 5 packs, which is a whole nother issue. Why would you not sell some individually? Why would you not let someone get up to 14 tokens and buy the one they need? I do not understand that. That is dumb. That is so greedy and dumb. It's pathetic. But anyway, that's why it's the 9 or 14. The 14 obviously trips the 15, which gives you the tank. All right, so how many holes are in this thing? First, a lot of people came into that day, started playing, realized it was wins, and quit. And didn't do your 30 bloody games. So you missed them. All right, they're still pissed. Some people were at 13 and figured they'd do 14 and 15 in the next 2 days. They got pissed, and they didn't even do the next day, which was kill 5. So they sit at 13. You're not covering them, are you? They're still pissed. There are people who grounded out, and they're pissed. They got their token, but they're still pissed. You're not covering those guys either. There's people like me who didn't have to worry about it because I already had the tank, and I'm pissed. And I'm not getting a damn thing. So this is pathetic. All right, so how did you fix it? How was this fixed? This was so easy from a customer service standpoint. Once again, Wargaming could have made all kinds of good feelings with tankers if they just went, we screwed up, we did not intend it to be that way, we're giving everybody a token for both the IS-6B and the T-34B, which means if you didn't get the 15, you're going to get the consumables or whatever it is that came with it. That fixes it right there. It fixes it right there. The only people that doesn't cover is somebody who maybe didn't do the last day, the one where I said he was at 13 and he didn't get the 14th and he planned to do the 15th, but he didn't do it anyway. That's the only people it doesn't cover. Otherwise, you have made everyone happy. This, I'll be quite honest, makes almost nobody happy. Probably even the people who did 30 battles that day and weren't able to get the wins because they're still pissed. It was so easy, Wargaming, to do this. Now, this is even better because I'm not going to dig in here, but there are multiple tickets that were opened by people. And initially they were getting a cut and paste response, which whatever, it's pretty standard. But what it came down to for most of them was what they were told is, hey, yeah, that doesn't look right, but you've got to go with the UI mission requirement. So the one that's in game, that's the one that's right. That's the one that's right. That's the one. That's right. Except for this is this is great. Except for the fact that on day 20, I'm gonna go find it for you here. Bear with me. I wasn't completely prepared on this section. Let's get down here and find it. Because remember, they said the in UI one, the one in UI was the right one. Okay, copy, that's your standard by which it is done. So on day 20, it said destroy 5 tanks in 1 battle. All right, fair enough. Guess what the in-game UI said? It said destroy 5 tanks and didn't say whether it was 1 battle. So a lot of people thought that meant 5 over any number of battles. Wow, guys. Really? I mean, it is a case of the one hand not talking to the other. In fact, one hand has a hammer and it's smashing the other hand. Holy cow. So once again, a customer service nightmare of their own making. And a completely buffoonerish response and greedy response. I will have to add greedy response. I will add one thing at the end here then as I get ready to go on, because I've mentioned this game before. I'm going to call it up on my phone right here as it loads in, and I'm going to find an email, an in-game email from a company called Trinity Interactive, and they have a game called Mini Warriors on the phone that I play, and it's a grindy little game. It can be pay to win, but I've played it for years and I've never spent a damn dime on it. In fact, I'm probably going to because of what I'm going to talk about right here. I may throw them some money. I went into this game thinking I'm going to play this game, but my intention was to not spend a dime. I want to see how far I can go on a game, how fun it is without spending a dime. And this game is fantastic. So let's find this here. I'm trying to find it. Actually can't find the email. Anyway, I'll explain what happens with this game when they make a mistake. So when this game has an error or a bug, like my old man glasses, when this game has an error or bug, Mini Warriors by Trinity Interactive, almost immediately they send out an email and they give you what's called crystals, which is their equivalent of gold. That's their currency that you buy with real hard currency. And of course, you can get all kinds of advantages by doing that, just like you can in World of Tanks. And you can, in fact, turn that into pay-to-win kind of stuff in this game. And I don't even care because I can still actually play it without that. But the point is, when they make a mistake or they have an issue, they send that out to every player. Hey, we had this error. Sorry about that. We're working on it. Here's when we think it's going to be fixed. Or, hey, we fixed it and patched it. And then they shoot out the crystals. And it's not thousands of crystals. It's 20, 50. But it's enough that for the next day, you can do a couple more things. You can do a couple more things. And they don't even... Sometimes I get these emails and I get these free crystals. And I'm like, I didn't even know that bug was there. It's a bug on one of the certain heroes. And it didn't affect me. Here's the other thing about that I know. Whenever I play that game and I find a bug or I find an issue, you know what I know immediately? They're going to make it right. So I don't even care. I'm like, there's a bug. That's cool. And you know what? A couple days later, or even the day later, it's sorted and they've sent me a little compensation. Again, it's not I deserve everything. It's not, hey, give me 4 premium tier 8 tanks because you had a little bug. But I always know with that company that they're going to make it right. I do not know that with Wargaming. And they continue to prove that they do not know how to make it right. All right, guys, that is it for the chicanery of the week. It's an easy fix, Wargaming. It really is. It really is. All right, friends, that is it for the Thanksgiving coffee talk. Nice having coffee with you guys, or tea for my Brit friends. I am at the end of my coffee. I've got one more. I've got to get up and go make a turkey. I'm going to head over to some friend's house. We're cooking the turkey there. I'm going to help them prep it, get that in the oven. Then I'm going to play a little bit of tanks, and I'm going to watch some football, American football. American football. Soccer's okay. Let's not get off on tangents, all right, guys? Come on. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks for coming by. I do appreciate your support of the channels, whether it's the Twitch or the YouTube. Check them out if you haven't, and we will see you.